gonna give it a few minutes here. Just stop and think. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lunchroom Syndicate. Another live stream here with your boy Christopher. I know a couple weeks ago I said that I wouldn't really be discussing too much in the way of the Jaguars if they lose. You know, doing too many live streams unless there's something that I need to talk about or something were to happen. Hold on one second. I don't. Sorry, folks. Just trying. So if you're watching this afterward, just give me a couple minutes here. I'm trying to get something done. I should have done prior, but it's all good. Okay. Okay. We're all set. We're all good. I'm going to file that. All right. So the Jaguars lose again in London. That was like the one saving grace I had, kind of, was that maybe they wouldn't lose in London for a change. But here we are. They did. Because of course they did. Why wouldn't they have lost? Trying to gather my thoughts a bit here. Trying to, like, process things a bit. You know what I mean? Jags have lost 5 straight. All 6 losses have been by 1 score. As a matter of fact, going to their thing, they've all been by 8 points or fewer. 8 points is technically 1 score, because you can score and get a 2-point conversion. Although only one of them's been by 8, everything else has been by 7 or less. And in every game, they've had the lead. Or you can make a case they should have won, or should have. A lot of them they had leads late. Once again, on a drive, the Jags absolutely needed the defense to step up. They didn't. They just failed again. And that's a problem. And I don't know if that's fixed this year at this point. Look, there's, the argument that, close games is a bit random, but the thing is, the Jags have never been good at close games. I think they've won like 2 or 3 in the past 3 years, and then they're like 3 in like 14 or 15 or something stupid. Like, it's insane. So we can't sit here and say it's a luck thing at this point. Not when you watch a game. Not when you watch the team play, right? It's one thing you're playing well, you lose something, shit happens, but not the way they are losing. But this game is not about defense. You want to trash the defense. You want to talk shit about the defense right now. You want to talk about how they need to improve or whatever million things you want to say. Be my guest, because you're absolutely right with all of that. However, the defense did play a lot better in this game, and it should have never got to the point of needing a late stop. Because once again, the Jaguars had a double-digit lead in this game, which has happened a lot during this losing streak. Once again, Trevor Lawrence makes an unbelievably stupid play down by the goal line. It's This is 2 times now in 4 weeks, and it's almost identical. It's almost identical. You just throw it away, man. What are you doing? Why? Go watch that play. If you haven't yet, go watch that play. And tell me what the hell he saw there. Some context on the play. It was 1st and goal from the 1. You want to give Pearson shit for not running the ball? Whatever. I'm not going to stop you. Although I don't mind play action on 1st down or passing on 1st down in that situation because teams expect to run. But the Jags do a lot when they throw inside the red zone and especially inside the 5. And it hasn't really worked for them. So, just saying. Just saying. But beyond that, beyond Doug Pearson calling that play, beyond them shoulda or should have ran, Trevor Lawrence against Houston a few weeks back threw what I thought was the worst pick I've ever seen. Okay, that's probably exaggerating, but I can't fathom a reason behind it other than forcing the ball and an incredibly stupid mistake. That play, all right, you want to excuse that? You want to be like, hey, you know what? Shit happens. You know, Trevor's Trevor. You know, he's trying to make something happen. It was a dumb play. Whatever. Fine. But now this is twice in 4 weeks. It's only been 4 weeks, people, since that play. And he did it again. Again. And this one was even more egregious because it was 1st and goal from the 1. You have 3 opportunities after that, assuming you don't lose yards and go for on 4th and 1, to get the yard. What are you doing? You didn't need to do that. And there was nobody there. Like, what the fuck? But that's it. That's telling at this point. And then the final drive where he throws a pick on the very first play, which is something that's happened before this year as well, and was a terrible throw that I don't even know where you're trying to throw that to. Travis Etienne proved why they need James Robinson. 24 carries, 156 yards on TD. Damn good day. I don't know if I want to see him run 24 times every game, but he didn't need. Even if you take out the 49-yarder, you know, it's a little bit worse, but it still proves that he's a very effective runner. And that 49-yarder is still a 49-yarder. So you can't say, well, if we had James Robinson, that wouldn't matter. It hasn't mattered all year. Why would it matter now? It didn't matter last year. It didn't matter the year before when we went 1-15 and James Robinson was amazing, right? I talked about that earlier last week. So go watch that video. But your quarterback in today's NFL has to be good. He has to be. Look, Jacoby Brissett for the Browns has played admirably, in my opinion, all season long. Way better than I expected. I thought he was not going to be great, not going to be bad, but he's played very well. But again, not good, not great. And the Browns are now 2-5 and have a chance of going on a very terrible run before Deshaun Watson gets back, which in and of itself is his own, can of worms. But that's neither here nor there, and that's not what we're talking about in this video. It's time to start having discussions. And it's time for the Jaguars, the front office, the scouting, the coaching staff, in their meetings with each other or whatever, to start having discussions. And it sucks, but you have to start asking if Trevor's the guy. And I know. I hear all the excuses. I hear, well, you had the Urban Meyer experience. You had, this is effectively his rookie year. It's effectively this. It's effectively that. He's not getting better. At all. Watch him play. It's the same mistakes. It's the same misses. It's the same inability to hit open receivers in key situations. It's the exact same problems week in and week out. Every loss, almost every loss, you can pinpoint a play or two that's unbelievably boneheaded, that if it goes the other way, who knows what happens. Just like this game, that interception. If he throws that away and the Jags score on the next 3 plays, then that game's 17-0. I doubt highly doubt the Broncos come back at that point. The Broncos immediately went down the drive. It is affecting the defense when that happens. You can see it. To give you an idea, let's talk about that particular drive afterward, right? The immediate touchdown that followed the interception, which by the way was also in the end zone, so he didn't even get the luxury of being at the 1 at minimum, so they get it at the 20. I'm sorry, they didn't score a touchdown. That was 2 drives later. My apologies. I was wrong. It could have been 14-0. I had the down distance wrong. But even still, at that point they're down 14-0. They force a 3 and out. Then they kick a field goal, right? Make it 17. 17-0 is far more unmanageable for a Denver Broncos terrible offense than this. And then, by the way, the Jags scored later on. Look, that game's different at 17-0 than 10-0 when the Denver Broncos score their first touchdown. It is. Who knows what happens? Maybe the Denver plays a little bit more loose. Maybe they don't. Or maybe the Jags win going away like they did against the Chargers or they did against the Colts, right? But instead, the Jags offense craters again after that drive. Now, it wasn't an extreme crater because the Jags did go 6 plays, 54 yards in the very next drive and get a field goal, which was okay. That made it 10-0. Then they went 7 plays and 15 yards, which was atrocious. But I didn't see this. So on the next point after the touchdown that the Broncos scored to make it 10-7, the Jags had 3rd and 9 from the 39 in the second quarter. Trevor Lawrence gets a 14-yard intentional grounding penalty. You can't even attempt a field goal at that point. They go all the way back to their own 48 because of that. They have to punt. Now, the Broncos didn't end up scoring on that next drive, but you lost points. And as you can see, points matter. If he just throws it away normally or even gets a completion for a couple yards, like Riley Patterson may or may not make it. He's been good this year for the most part. Like, he's actually been good, so why wouldn't you try it? I mean, maybe not from the 39 because that's a 50-some yarder, and you miss it. It does give the Broncos great field position. But you don't take a 14-yard sack effectively, what turns into an intentional grounding penalty because you lose the down too, and force a punt. It's those types of decisions. I didn't see that play, but anytime I see intentional grounding, I can guarantee you it was because the quarterback just tried to get rid of the ball like an idiot. Probably lucky it wasn't picked or something stupid, right? The Jags get the ball after half, go 8 plays, 29 yards, pin the Broncos at the 1, at the 2. Amazing. Very first play after 1st and 10 at the Broncos 2 for the Broncos at their own 2, 18-yard pass. The Broncos go down and on a 98-play drive score a touchdown, take the lead. The Broncos have the lead until late when the Jags go down in 6 plays, 47 yards after a pretty terrible situation for the Denver Broncos. They did hit a 50-yard punt, but the Jags got it in great field position. Jags do go down score. And why did they score? Well, let me give you an idea. Trevor Lawrence pass to short middle of Christian Kirk, 25. Okay, pass. That's fine. That worked out. ETN run for 11 yards. Zay Jones run for 7 yards. ETN run for 3. ETN run for 0 on 1st and goal from the 1. And the ETN 1-yard run. Rushing the ball does wonders sometimes. Not putting it in Trevor Lawrence's hands. But that's my point, though, right? You're not saying to run the ball with Tom Brady there. You're not saying to run the ball with Aaron Rodgers, even as bad as they're playing now, right? And look, I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is as talented as Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers ever were, but the point is, when you have to call plays to survive your quarterback, there's a problem. And then obviously the very next drive, the Broncos go, and Jags defense didn't show up, and then the interception happened. So my point with this ultimately is, if you're the Jags, right, or if you're a fan at this point, you have to start that discussion. Is Trevor Lawrence a guy? You don't want to. I agree. I don't want to. And I'm not saying that the answer is he's a bust, get a first round quarterback next year. I'm not saying that's the answer. Because the right thing to do is give him a third year. I do agree. Unless he craters spectacularly, then I can't say that word. Unless he craters incredibly, you obviously give that third year for sure. And knowing the Jags, they give probably a fourth and their fifth year because Blake Bortles and Blaine Gabbert and litany of other terrible QBs the Jags have had. But a good team has discussions. It wouldn't be unprecedented. It'd be, and in today's day and age, it's not a bad idea to start having this discussion, because the idea is right. Well, he's still mentally scarred from what happened last year. It's 8 games in. At some point, that's no longer an excuse. So, are you saying that he's fucked? Like he won't come back to what he could be? Like, is he already screwed? Then if that's the case, then the Jags should absolutely cut bait after this year. Or are you saying that we should still give him time? Well, see, then you're saying that he wasn't mentally scarred from last year, right? And that he's not progressing this year. You want to see, that's the thing. You want to see progress. You want to see it get better. I'm not saying he has to be Peyton Manning, right? But you got to be progressing, and he's not. And it's, these wide receivers. I'm done with that excuse too. I agree, the wide receivers aren't great, but at some point, maybe if Trevor could throw the ball to him. Yeah, they can't get open. I agree, but sometimes the quarterback has to throw them open. Think Patrick Mahomes has a great set of receivers right now? He doesn't. Newsflash. Outside of Kelsey. Again. But the reason why I'm comparing to some of these great quarterbacks is Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be this generational guy, right? Once in a generation prospect, the next Peyton Manning prospect, next this prospect, and he's not even been close. And maybe that was unfair, and maybe that was an unfair thing. And he comes in, and it's right after COVID, the COVID weird season, and it was a weird year for the Jags. Well, you know what? Welcome to the NFL. You have to show progress, and that's my point. He's not. And, the Cardinals, after 1 year of Josh Rosen, at the 10th overall pick, decided, we're going to pick again at the number 1 overall pick with Kyler Murray. Say what you will about Kyler Murray, but they're probably not necessarily hating that pick. You could say what you want about him, because you could say he's overrated, you could say he's overpaid. I won't argue with those points, but it was the right decision to cut bait with Josh Rosen. You could be like, well, hindsight's 2020, and maybe they should have drafted somebody with that Josh Rosen pick. Well, they didn't, right? They didn't. What you want them to do? Go get a time machine and say, hey, don't pick that guy? It doesn't work that way. Sorry. So if the Jaguars made a mistake with Trevor Lawrence, yeah, it's like, well, man, you're just throwing away that number 1 overall pick. Well, welcome to Jacksonville with first-round picks, man. But if Trevor Lawrence is a bust, and that's the conclusion the Jaguars come to, and I'm not saying that they should or they shouldn't, that's a discussion for them. They're a lot smarter than me in football, and that's something they have to decide. Then you don't continue. It's the gambler's fallacy. You don't continue going just because you're losing and hoping it turns around. You're at a blackjack table, you start losing. Well, eventually it's going to come back. Eventually it's going to come back. No, it may never come back. And with Trevor, that discussion's got to start now. Because he's had opportunities to win games, and he's looked awful in almost all of them. He had that nice drive against the Colts that should have been the game winner, but the defense had just fallen apart and never really recovered. Maybe that, but the thing is, the defense was good against Houston, and he was so terrible against Houston. And Houston's terrible. Look, if you're doing the power rankings right now, you don't have Jacksonville at the 32nd spot. You're doing it wrong. The Jags suck. The Jags are the worst team in the league again, and they deserve to be in that spot. I don't care that 6 of their games were by one score. They've lost everybody. They've lost to Houston, and Houston is considered the worst team in the NFL, at least roster-wise. You can maybe make the case for Carolina at this point, but still. Carolina just beat Tampa, so I guess they're not as bad as people thought, right? That sucks because when I said that if the Jags when the Jags drafted Trevor, I said if they fail Trevor, if Trevor fails, if this ends up being a bust, then it's to a point with this team that how could you ever get excited about a draft pick? How could you ever get excited about a quarterback with this team? You just have to hope and pray to get it right. Trevor was the last hope, and the Jags are blowing it. And that's ultimately what it is the Jags are blowing it. They blew it with Urban. That Urban hire that was so bad. And to be honest with you, and I put this on Twitter, on my Twitter account, Zunker LRS, the reality is, until Shad Khan sells the team, I don't know where you find that hope. Because we had a good team, and we historically blew that up in a comedic way that should never have happened. We re-signed Blake Bortles, but we refused to give Jalen Ramsey or Yanni Ngakoue or all these other guys that extension actually deserved it. But we gave one to Blake Bortles that fucked us for years, for a couple years down the line. Even though everyone and their mother knew that Blake Bortles was not a good QB. Oh, well, he had that good stretch in December of 2017, yeah. And the playoffs, yeah, he was good. I will admit that, but he had years of body of work showing he wasn't good. And you have 5th-year deal. That's what kills me about the Blake Bortles things. They were on the 5th-year rookie part. They did not have to sign that extension, and they did. But that's my point, right? If Trevor ultimately fails, and that's the trajectory. We have to be honest with ourselves. That's the trajectory at this point. Is massive bust. This will be a legendary bust. It's not Jamarcus Russell levels probably, but this is probably top 5 all time level bust. You have to have that discussion. As fans, we have to come to the realization that maybe Trevor isn't it. I'm not saying he isn't talented. He probably is. He's probably uber talented, but he might not be it, folks. We have to come to that conclusion. Then we have to determine how we want to go through things from here on out. Doesn't leave us in a good spot, but it's the Jags, and we're never left in a good spot because we are legitimately the worst team in the NFL. And I don't just mean in 2022. We're the worst ran. We're the worst developing team. We're the worst organization. In a football perspective, there's worse, maybe morally, but our owner doesn't even care that we only have 7 home games this year because we have to go to London every year, right? That's a Shad Khan thing. We don't have to go to London every year. Yes, it's built up the fan base in England, which is great. I think that is a good thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, but I don't think you should have a London game when you only have 8 home games. If you want to have that game when you have the 9th home game, whatever. I don't have a problem with that, but now we already put ourselves behind a bit of an 8 ball. All for basically money, right? When you have an owner that doesn't care, and that's the thing. I think Shad Khan does not give a shit. He wants to win. Don't get me wrong. He wants to win, but as long as he's making money, it ultimately doesn't matter. And you can just look at his other ventures in sports, like Fulham, like how terrible Fulham has been with him as in charge. It's pretty bad. So yeah. So in my opinion, until he is gone, or he sells a team, preferably, because I don't even want his son running the damn thing. How do we have any semblance of hope for this team. For any pick they make, any head coaching decision that they make in the future, and Doug Pearson shouldn't be fired. Obviously, I really although you do have to start questioning whether he's really a good coach or not. But you gotta give him 3 years. But no, and that's my opinion as a lifelong Jags fan that hates the idea of moving on from QBs quickly or coaches quickly or or just giving up on guys quickly, but there's got to be progress at some point. There's got to be stuff you can cling to. Substantial stuff, not oh, look at this one throw he made this game. It's got to be more than one. This ain't golf. There's got to be some sort of consistency, and we're not getting that. And we're too far past the point of well, last year happened, this happened. We're past that point. So I want to make it clear that I don't believe that the Jags should move on from Trevor Lawrence in the offseason unless he just craters. But that discussion's got to be had. And for the rest of you have to take the rest of the season to evaluate whether Trevor can be that guy, whether Trevor is going to ever be that guy, and you have to be honest with yourselves. Whether you're fans, whether you're the front office, the coaching staff, whether you're Trevor Lawrence. I hate being a Jags fan. I really do. Why'd I have to pick the Jags? All right, but we're gonna call it for the day. Let me know your thoughts. If you're watching this post live, let me know your comments in the below. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Is what I meant to say. And what do you think about Trevor? Do you think there's hope? Can there be hope? Why should we have hope? Because I'm telling you folks, this ends disastrously, and that's a trajectory. I don't know how I can have hope with this team anymore until it becomes substantial. Until that moment. Anywho, I am Christopher with Trimson. Good, thank you for joining me. Again, the likelihood of me doing another one of these, barring something like this, where I need to talk about something, is very slim, even on wins at this point. Thank you. Until next time, deuces.